Okay, we are not going to have the LRO meeting tonight, Laws, Rules, and Ordinances, because the person that was coming to speak cannot attend. But we are going to move forward with the first public hearing, which is on the Mulberry Street property. Erica?
Yes, Kurt Hurt, owner of Fremont Rentals, applied to the Planning Commission for a zoning change to change from an R1 to an R3 multifamily. He owns property at the end of Mulberry Street. So the Planning Commission met on April 8th and approved the request. So tonight we're here to hear public comments regarding this request.
Okay. Madam President, just to understand, I put a brief PowerPoint presentation together of the property so that people have a visual of what we're talking about. So the first slide here is just the property that's being proposed to be rezoned. That's at current, like Erica said, it's owned by Kurt Hurt and is currently zoned R1. The property directly next door to the west or north, Mr. Kurt also owns that. That is zoned R3. It's got 5 triplexes on it. To better understand the area, so there are the 2 properties, the one that's owned to R3 with the triplexes, and then the vacant lot that's owned to R1. As you step back and look at the area, you see the area directly to the east, which technically is in Sandusky Township, but that is zoned R2. Another visual of all the properties in question. So the property that's being proposed to be rezoned to an R3 is between an R3 and an R2. In 2021, we had DeSalvo Development do a housing study because we had some housing concerns. That was a great study. It proved to be incredibly helpful. But the study found the city of Fremont has the oldest housing stock of any community in Northwest Ohio and the 12th oldest housing stock in the state. So housing is a need. The market clearly exists for all types of housing throughout the city of Fremont. The challenge remains the lack of available developable land in some of the most popular areas of the city. So developable land for new housing is crucial to address our housing need. And in the recommendation, executive summary section, the DDA stands for DeSalvo Development and Associates. It is DeSalvo Development Associates' opinion that in the next 3 years, a market exists for 230 to 300 new housing units in Fremont. This study was completed in the spring of 21, and here we are in the spring of 25. So in 4 years, we've not hit that mark, but we have seen approximately 150 living units built inside the city limits of Fremont in the last 4 years. And so this is, so we're addressing our shortage of housing in our community. Mr. Hurt, who is the developer, if you remember a few years ago, we were here for a rezoning project on Fangboner. And if you've been out there, you would realize this is a really nice housing unit. I think Mr. Kurt, maybe because we started a few minutes early, isn't quite here yet. But those were built in 10-unit sections, and then 8 and 6. I think there's 40 some units out there. Mr. Hurt had fully executed leases on all of those before construction, and each one of those were complete. So just speaks to the housing. I know the mayor and myself and Ken Frost, we frequently visit the Sandusky County Renters Association and speak to them about the housing need. And in fact, in June, we are meeting with realtors. Russell Realty is setting up a roundtable for the mayor and myself. It's by invite to talk about, with the realtors, to talk about what we can learn from them to help address the housing need in the city of Fremont, and what we may be able to communicate to them to help address the housing need in Fremont. And that is the extent of my PowerPoint.
Bob, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What's driving the need for housing? You said we're the 12th oldest area in Ohio for housing. What other variables are driving our housing needs? Is there more jobs?
Sure.
What are they?
Yeah, so really the number one issue is the age of housing and the lack of development, and it kind of spells to it the lack of residential lots or residential land to be developed to address the housing. The community, combination of various developers, but we've addressed some what we call R1 or single family housing, but there really is a need, and it is spelled out in our Think Fremont plan to address apartments. There may be our folks who, it really goes one of two directions. I'm not quite ready to own a home yet, so I still want to rent. Or I've owned a home, I want to downsize. Maybe I'm traveling a little bit more, so I sell my home and I just want a smaller, manageable rental apartment. And so what is nice about this one, and I think this is a great project, is we routinely talk about east side and what can we do east side. Brick and mortar businesses chase people. The number one request that comes through our engineer's office are traffic counts. That's why you see so much development and so much interest on 53. It's just my belief, housing is the key to development on the east side. I believe between the stuff that KF Construction is doing in Sunset Meadows and Meadow Creek, and they're building 15 to 20 homes a year, this development, I believe you could see in the next 24 months 50 new homes built specifically on the east side. If there are an average of 3 people per home, 150 people on the east side. I think that'll stand up and take notice to those folks looking at Fremont with the hope or thought to invest in Fremont, specifically to the east side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, could you bring that podium over here?
Do it?
The podium, could you
Oh,
bring it
yeah,
over
sorry,
here?
sorry,
So
yeah.
if there's... Thank you. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak, you come up to the podium and state your name and address. And I'm going to allow 3 minutes per person.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Moore. You probably know me a lot more by the name of Jack Moore. I served both on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board for over 10 years as employee of Columbia Gas at the time. I moved from in the city on the west side to the east side on a street that had a nice lot. It also was convenient, traffic-wise, and it was a nice neighborhood, as I knew the zoning well, having been on the board. So I bought the land and put a house on it, which is still there. I knew some things about zoning, I thought. About 2 months ago, somebody advised me while I was in Florida, I can't speak the cold weather in my age, that they were going to go through with this, which we went through 5 years ago. And the majority of the people in the city voted they didn't want this done through a R1 neighborhood. I thought at that time it was done, never gave it much more thought. I was told from Fremont that they were going to come back and do it again. I thought, well, I'll get a notice on this. No, I got no notice. It wasn't accidentally sent to my address because my mail was always transferred. But when I heard this, I had one of my children check the house out. My mail was in through the garage, and I had no mail there, which didn't surprise me. So I did some checking, and they said, eventually they told me, well, this was going to be put off to a later time. The next thing I know about it was, I hear you're having this meeting. So I drove up from Florida. I'm sorry I did right now because I'm not feeling good. But when I got here, I had a letter coming last week in the mail, and it was a notice from the board here that you were going to go over what the planning already recommended. I got a one-page letter, and it said attachments showing you the lot. Well, I didn't really need them, but I didn't get them either. All I got was a letter saying you're having this meeting to take care of what the Planning Commission already decided was going to be done. Now, I don't understand why this would be. I am the only really adjoining city resident to this lot. You have people outside the city, you have the people of the property he owns. But I got nothing. Now, I don't understand. I thought it was necessary when I was on the board, if you were going to rezone something, you had to go to the adjacent people. I guess that doesn't really matter because I got no notice, one letter from you people, which didn't even contain what it said. I had called the engineer also in between this. They said they would send a letter to me in Florida and a letter to my house on Mulberry. I never got either one of those. The only notice I got was one that was there when I came home last weekend.
The notice of public hearing?
For this hearing, yes. It had already been handled by the planning commission. That's not the way it worked when I was on, but I know it's been 25 years since I was on the boards. I did not understand that being worked that way. I thought as an adjacent property owner, the only one, I'm across the street, and that 8-foot street that's right there has a 98-foot easement. But I thought I deserved a notice on that first before you rezone property in my neighborhood. I could throw in one more on this if I didn't run out of time yet. When we went to the people, when the people voted they didn't want that rezoned, you people had already rezoned it, so naturally you had to unrezone it. But in between, you rezoned the apartments, which were legal as to where they were setting, but are not legal according to our zoning. You changed the zoning on that to R3. Well, that came in very handy because before they took the R3 off the lot that we won the case on, before that happened, you rezoned those properties that are already sitting there. There's no way you're going to change them. But you rezoned them to R3. So very conveniently, when they want to do this again, they say it's adjacent to R3. I agree, it is. That R3 was not legal to start with because it was adjacent to property that was misdone. And I just, I don't understand all of this.
Erica, do you have anything that you can?
Yes, it was told to me that Mr. Moore did not receive his letter, so it was forwarded, his Florida address was forwarded to our office, and we did send a letter to the Florida address. So I'm not quite sure why Mr. Jack isn't receiving the notification.
Did the letters that were sent to him, did they have copies of what he could look at? Or was it just?
It was just a public notice, but everybody got the same thing. And it was told if you know somebody that could be affected by this, please contact your neighbor. So that must be why he knows, you know. But a couple weeks ago, we did get notification that, I believe from Mr. Moore, that he did not receive notification. So he sent it to his Florida address.
When the planning commission had their meeting, do the residents in the neighborhood get notice of that?
It's publicized. But the planning commission does not have to have a public hearing. They can choose to have a public hearing if they choose to. So this is.
But they don't have to send out notice saying this planning commission is having a meeting pertaining to this. Okay.
There is a public notice put out from the planning commission.
Yes.
Right. But it's not individual to the neighbors.
I don't.
Yes.
5 years ago it was.
We all got one.
Because when we went through this 5 years ago, I did get letters telling me they were going to rezone across the street from me. And I thought that was normal, but then I say, I'm 25 years past when I was doing these things. So,
Okay.
Madam President,
all.
I'm curious of the same question that you just asked. Erica said that they did not send out letters for the planning commission, but some folks in the back said they did receive notice. So Erica may be maybe misunderstanding the question. Were there notices sent out for planning commission? You the Ridleys said they got one, right?
Okay,
We got
so
one.
yes, it must
It
be.
said one it was, and then another one.
They canceled it, and then they're gonna reschedule it again. Then they did the second one, and now we're here.
Okay, so you did get notice?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
did
there
not
was,
get a notice at either address, and my mail was perfectly handled this year.
Yeah.
The time I was in Florida.
No,
Anything
I
that was
don't-
sent to Mulberry went to Florida.
yeah, I understand that, sir. I was speaking with them that my point was there was a letter sent out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, folks, here we go again.
What's your, you need to state
My
your
name
and
is Dennis
address.
Hasselbach. I live at 820 Mulberry Street.
Okay.
In 2019, according to the News Messenger, the voters in Fremont overwhelmingly rejected a proposal to rezone the same lot we're discussing tonight. At that time, the taxpayers for responsible development warned that this would amount to spot zoning and set a dangerous precedent for the city in the future. The voters were clear, but unfortunately, some members of the administration and city council chose not to listen. Instead, they approved a zoning change for the adjacent apartments, also zoned by the current applicant, shifting them from non-conforming uses in R1 zone to R3. This move conveniently created the appearance of an existing R3 zone next to a vacant lot. And now the argument is, well, this is adjacent to an R3 zone, so why not extend it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that application didn't have any information on other than he wanted it changed. And it didn't have it, and it didn't changing it to R, there was no reason to change it to R3. He couldn't make any more money before or after that was changed than he did before. And I'm saying that because for the council to really approve that as an R3, it had to meet all of the requirements for an R3 zone. But the council didn't consider that at all. They just took it as it was. The front two apartments are out in the street, encroaching in the street right away. They don't even meet the setbacks, and the rear setback doesn't meet the R3 code either. And there's the current R3 code requires off-street drainage or on-site drainage, and Walnuts or Mulberry Street has no storm drain, and there's no place to even run the roof other than the yard, and so they and there's no room on that for the off-street parking, and any green area. So when council arbitrarily changed that to R3, it didn't meet any of the, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure it didn't meet any of the requirements for an R3 zone. So I would question whether that's going to stand. Anyhow, this isn't planning. That's a backdoor zoning, and frankly, it undermines the public process. If we're going to talk about zoning, we need to talk about the comprehensive plan. The foundation for responsible development in Fremont. That, in case I was stuttering too much there, the comprehensive plan is the foundation for responsible development in Fremont. The original plan was developed by Brown and Anthony in 1968 and updated by Duke's Urban Planning in 19 72. It laid out clear guidance. It emphasized that the Planning and Zoning Board is responsible to protect the property rights and to guide growth in a way that aligns with the city's long-term vision. And here's what Brown and Anthony originally said. Zoning is not retroactive. It cannot correct the mistakes of the past. Existing uses are permitted to continue legally, but are called non-conforming, which for the life of those apartments, they were non-conforming use, and they didn't have any variances when they were built. And so it boggles my mind that they were accepted by council as R3 as R3 zone. The apartments were still built as the apartments on this site were built as non-conforming in R1 zone, and they were never rezoned anything else until council did it a couple years ago. In fact, R3 wasn't even in the original zoning code. When Dupes planned updated this zoning structure, it offered a thoughtful framework. Low density zones for single-family homes, medium density zone for one family and two family or duplex homes, and high density for like apartments, and only in the area with the existing infrastructure to support them and to close to commercial and industrial zones.
Mr. Hasselbach, I'm going to have to stop you because we've been talking now for over 6 minutes, and this, I mean, it's not, you're not telling us anything you didn't tell us the last time. My question to you, or maybe anybody that's here, is what is the objection to Mr. Hurt building these rental properties?
Because it's a residential street, and he doesn't need to, he's got all kind of sites he could build on, and he's just doing it for the spite of it.
This is it might be a residential area, but there are triplexes on that street as well. I'm just curious if you have a fear of this depreciating the value of your homes. If you know, why are you so against him improving the neighborhood?
Because Mulberry's a dead-end street, and it doesn't meet the criteria that the any
R3
high-density zoning requires.
So I don't know. I'm new to this, so I apologize. But with the existing R3 that's there, is there proper drainage? Are we up to that for that R3 area? That's what he mentioned, and I'm kind of curious about that myself.
Yeah, I don't know if the engineer's not here tonight, but remember, we're talking about, go ahead, Bob. Might
Yeah, so some of these questions we may not know until we have a site plan. So typically what happens is if the property is already zoned correctly, the developer, the business comes in with their contractor and submits a preliminary site plan to our engineer. They review those plans for some of those things, for setbacks, codes, whatnot. However, because this is not zoned, it needs to be rezoned in order for that to be executed. And what makes it a challenge is to truly work with an engineering firm to get construction blueprints. You might be looking at a price tag of $20,000 to have blueprints drafted. So a developer's not going to spend that to know that it doesn't get rezoned and then be out that money. And so that's not uncommon to have, because zoning is, what's the determining use, so some of those particulars come in at a later stage during planning commission and site planning. Here today, our scope is pretty limited to just the type of use for that parcel.
The existing property that's R3 now, did that have that? Or was that existing complex that was rezoned? They were talking about the
It's been there for
history.
a while.
Since the
Okay.
70s, hasn't
It
it?
was non-conforming use most of the time. And I would, since he brought it up, the application, the planning commission is, and the council is getting the cart ahead of the horse. The zoning for the application, they require plans in the zoning book that's in use right now, requires that the plans be supplied with the application, and so the administration and council can reasonably assess what's going in there and can tell him up front whether it can go or not. But without plans,
That process would still happen. Just because it gets rezoned to R3 doesn't mean someone can go build whatever they want, wherever they want, regardless whether it's R1, R2, or R3. You still have to go through the proper process through zoning and make sure that you're in compliance with all the city ordinances. So
well,
we're discussing a zoning change, not, the one thing I would caution council with tonight, or just be aware of, is we are looking at a zoning change, not necessarily describing the project. It's not that I don't know what we don't have there. Number one, the engineer would advise the city through the zoning and engineering office. They would go through plans through that office, which would either approve the plans or not approve the plans, and working directly with the safety service director, the economic development director, and myself. And at this time, we have no plans. So it's not fair I'm not in a fair situation to answer the question that you've asked, because number one, that's not the topic that we were talking about. And number two, I don't know for sure what that's going to take. We would rely on our engineering department to give us that information, regardless whether it's here or any building inside the city.
I did talk to the engineer yesterday, and they aren't planning on spending any money for storm drainage for that street. And they're talking about using combined, running the stormwater into the sanitary sewer. And I know for a fact that you have to have a state permit, EPA permit to do that.
But you're talking about right this moment, not down the road potentially.
Pardon?
You're talking about right this moment, not necessarily down the road, from your conversation with the engineer.
That's how it is now. That's not how it would be if there was development in that area.
Potentially.
What I said was that there's no plans to put storm drainage in the Mulberry Street.
And the last time you were here, you were accusing me of trying to spend money that we didn't need to, that we weren't planning on spending to do that project. We also did do a project that we said we were going to do either way, and now you're saying we don't have any plans. So the last time you were accusing me and my administration of doing something wrong to basically pad the pockets of someone, but tonight you're saying we don't have any plans. So you're saying the opposite today
No,
that
I'm
you
not.
said last time, because we did move forward with the project that we did last time, and we said we were planning on doing it either way. And we're saying tonight that we're not discussing the plans of the project because we don't even have the project in front of us to discuss to be able to answer those questions.
Mr. Hasbach, I got a question, if I
Yes,
could.
sir.
In all due respect, you mentioned that Mr. Hurt was gonna doing this in spite. Why when Mr. Gross presented the need for this
Housing.
city,
Yeah.
we as a council, we need to help
Okay.
grow. Mr. Kern, Mr. Hurt, no matter who it is, back here.
I maintain there's plenty of sites already zoned and green fields in the city. There's been buildings tore down the last few years, the schools, 2 schools, Krogan and,
But he doesn't own all those properties.
The city doesn't own those properties either.
Yeah.
Well,
The
that's
city
not-
doesn't own the school,
The
the
school
property
owns
that
the
Hayes
property.
was on, the school still owns that property.
well, of course, you'd have to buy it.
Was
right?
that property
Somebody,
on
but the
the
school
sale?
right now has no plans of selling that. I know that for a fact.
Okay,
It's for sale.
but there's others, and,
But that you're assuming that he owns all that, the way that you're talking. But he doesn't.
no, I didn't say that. I'm sorry.
Did I mishear?
Is there any, I'm going to have to stop you, because we have another public hearing coming up, and if there's anybody else out here that wants to speak, I need to let them have their
Yes,
turn.
we have at least one more.
Hi, I'm Ryan Rosen. I'm one of the newer owners over on Mulberry Street. Been there 2.5 years, I want to say. My biggest thing with this is safety. Have you guys ever been down Mulberry Street?
Yes.
Very tight, right? Very, very tight. So we had an emergency Monday morning. 4 fire trucks blocking Mulberry, Gibson. How'd everybody get out? They went in the middle of the left side properties. So now they're dealing with ruts in their grass because of a medical emergency. What if that was further down Mulberry Street? What if there's a state of emergency? How is 8 single-family homes, and now what you guys want, 30 families to all evacuate one dead end? How's that safe? How's that effective? How's that right? I bought that house for safety for my 4-year-old. Now I'm worried that this is going to add more traffic to an already small area. Mr. Hurt wants to do something with that property. Put a playground. There's kids living in those apartments. What do they see? Nothing. Green building, or green grass, buildings back there. What life is that? And then you want to add 5 more triplexes to an already tight area? When you have, like, I know I get, he doesn't own them, but you have land around Fremont. You want to add, give people homes. Have them add there. Have her give his tenants something back there, if he wants to do something with the property. If not, sell it to people who would do something with green space back there. Give it something, a little bit of life back there. But my biggest thing is, you guys want to add, so technically it would be 30 families in triplexes, 8 single-family homes. That's not including the people that they're just laying on the couch in these apartments. That's extra people living there. So you're going to add, well, what did I say, 15 more families? So that's about 15 to 30 more cars down that road. There's no plans of repaving it. The roads around town they're not the greatest. We can say that. But that side of town is terrible. So now you want to add that much more traffic down that lane. How's that right? State of emergency. You guys live down there, you got your kids, panic, something's going on, everybody's got to evacuate. You can't get out your road. How's that okay? That's my concern, safety. I get we need housing. We've struggled for a long time around Fremont, but down a dead end that is already so tight is not the place to do it. It's the way I see it. Safety, you guys want to safety this, and you don't want to see people get hurt, and that, don't put people in such a tight area. Or living, like my daughter. My biggest thing was she needs yards, she needs a room to play, this, that, and the other. Those kids have nothing back there. Hurt has nothing for them to play with, nothing. So that's my thing, is safety. You guys want to do this? Give them an in and out. But to do it with just one dead end, no outlet, it's not safe. It's not ideal, it's not realistic. I don't think it's safe. Put your guys in that position. State of emergency. Got to take off, grab everything you can. Can't get out your driveway or do anything. Or like I said, with the fire trucks. What if they can't get down there to a medical emergency and something happens because they can't get in, they can't get through, or whatever the case may be? that falls on either the medical EMS staff, that they felt like they couldn't get there in time, or somebody lose a loved one because something, you know. That's my thing, is I woke up Monday to my living room lit up, and nobody could get out of Mulberry Street. At all. Fire trucks wouldn't move. Parked right in the middle of the road. Fire truck is the size of our road. And then if they want to do pull-off spots, I guarantee you those will be parking spots for the people who are visiting Hertz current rentals. That's because they park in the street now, on the side of the street now. So that's pretty much all I gotta say is safety. That's not smart. There's so much land around town. And you want to make Fremont beautiful and this, that, and the other. And it can be beautiful, but there's so much open land that you can make suitable for apartments. And that would be closer to areas for kids or whatever, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Lejeune. I live at 824 Kentucky Avenue. I've been there 5 years. Lifelong resident of Fremont. I'm here to discuss the R1 to R3 on Mulberry. And full disclosure, I'm real good friends with Denny, and we have never discussed this, have we? Okay. I've lived in East Side, West Side. West Side, I've lived there 60 years. East Side, 10 years. There's a huge difference between the West Side and the East Side. East Side needs growth. East Side needs housing. Okay? I don't even know who Kurt, what's his name? Kurt? I don't even know the guy. Ever met him? Don't know who he is. My backyard abuts against his units, the 5 units already there. I've never, ever had a problem. He keeps it up. Everything's clean. He does what he has to do. We as a city have to move forward a little bit. Okay? You have to have some balls to move forward. Okay? Is it going to piss people off? Sure, it's going to piss people off. Maybe we could upgrade the street. Maybe we could upgrade the sewage in that area. Okay? That's what I'm hearing.
We've made
Widen
some
the street.
changes.
What?
We have made some changes over there. There still needs to be more.
Can we widen the street over there?
We haven't even had that discussion yet.
Okay, but you could.
There's a lot of possibilities out there. Financially, we're just trying to keep streets paved. We had an income tax levy go down, you know, and we're working the best we can with the funds that we have. Ideally, it would be nice to resurface a lot of streets. You know, specifically this year, we're doing.
That street's bad.
That street is bad, I agree.
That should be a priority if you're going to do something.
Well, you heard there's 5 houses out there, right? So we have to put our priority on the streets where most people travel. And it's tough because most of our local dollars that we have, they're going towards the grants, the state and federal grants that we're putting matching dollars, you know, in. So we're very limited on being able to use just general fund dollars on our side streets. We're doing our best. It's just
Okay, that's how I feel. One more thing on that vote. Was it 5 years ago? 6 years ago? Was that a precinct vote or a citywide vote?
It was a citywide vote. It was prior to the housing study being done.
Okay, just for that little property
For
there?
the entire city.
Okay.
They voted specifically for that lot to not be R3. However, that was prior to the housing study that was completed by the city of Fremont. We completed the housing study with the data that he presented tonight almost 2 years afterwards.
Okay.
I don't believe that study was done before that. I think it was done before that. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
2021.
You sure?
Well, that's what Mr. Gross.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, I can get a printed copy. It's got the date on it. I can show you the invoices when the city paid for it in 21.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyways, east side you have to step up, the east side. And we heard from, I don't even know the guy's name. We do need it. I don't.
Curtis, sir.
No,
That-
Kurt,
no,
Bob.
Bob Gross.
Curtis here?
Kurt, stand up, would you, please? All right, that's Kurt Hurt.
Don't need beer.
There you go, I'm Denny's friend.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Sorry.
Thank you for your time and
Thank you for coming up.
do your best, okay? Just do
Thank
your
you.
best.
Thanks for the input.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Ann Weiler. I represent Eastside Presbyterian Church. Our backyard looks into the complex. Hi, Kurt. Anyways, we've had problems with kids that live in the apartments. They vandalize our church. Right now, we're doing great. We have no problem. But my concern is, you build this, you have all these people. Okay, if it's a couple renting an apartment, you have 2 cars. My concern is the traffic. You build this area up, you've got all these cars. We need another way out. There is nowhere to go back there. You're stuck. So I understand the traffic issues, and I know we need housing, but if you build it, there's no extra way to go but out Mulberry. That's my concern, like the lady with the safety. My thought is the school kids, the little ones, you gotta go to school. Are they really gonna walk all the way down Mulberry to Gibson, cut over, and go to school? They're gonna start cutting through the yards. And then somebody's gonna get hurt. I guess you have to have another way out. That's my concern. If you build the area up and Mulberry Street can't handle it, and I've been down Mulberry Street, there's no way to widen it without saying, hey, give me part of your yard.
Yeah.
The houses are pretty much on the street as it is. That's my concern, just a second way out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Then we're gonna end this hearing and move on to the second hearing.
Amy Como, owner of 836 North Wood Street. Ms. Como applied for a zoning change to change from I-2 General Industrial to B2 General Commercial. The Planning Commission met on April 8th to hear the application, and it was approved. So we're here tonight for a public hearing to hear any comments. I haven't heard from any neighbors or anything like that. There was a couple that attended the Planning Commission who was in favor of the change, but Mrs. Coble could not be here this evening. Would you like to elaborate on her?
Yeah, so it's kind of at the intersection of Liberty Street and Northwood, and it kind of goes to the dead end part of the old sugar beet plant. It was a building, it's zoned I-2 because it was an old truck repair, larger building. That building didn't work out. It's been a vacant building. She has owned it for a while, and so she's trying to find a use for it. Because it's a larger building, she wants to turn it into a banquet hall. And so, but because of where it is, it's frankly zoned I-2, and I think it's got to be a B2, and so we want to do it right and make sure, and Amy's done a really nice job. There's only a handful of neighbors down there, and then in fact the one neighbor came to the Planning Commission, it was just kind of curious about what was going to happen, and then when that neighbor found out what was going to happen, they were in favor of it because it's an old semi-truck repair shop, and so it doesn't look the best, and so I think they were kind of welcoming of a fresh look and money spent to fix that area up. And like we said, I think it's a dead-end street, so I think there's really short dead-end street without not a lot of neighbors there, and the one came, and Amy's I think Amy owns some of the other properties around there as rental properties, but I'm not aware of any objection by any of the neighbors to that project.
That's just north of Liberty. Didn't it used to be a church or something like that?
There's a building closer. This one's a little bit further down, so that the old church.
It's the same street.
It's the same street, so the church is right on the corner. But I think if you go 3 or 4 parcels up, it's a little bit further up. It's really, I think, right at the dead end, right at the old sugar beet field.
I get through. Yeah, I gotta get to the hospital.
No?
Ankle's broke or something.
Well, take care of yourself. Take care of it.
So is there anybody here that has anything that they'd like to say about the second public hearing? Okay, well, that's the end of the public hearings, and we'll start the regular city council meeting in 5 minutes. So anybody that wants to leave now can do so.
No, we don't want to encourage them.
They can if they want, though. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Frazier,
Here.
Reese. Here. Addie.
Here.
Elder.
Here.
Liebold.
Here.
Reese. Here. Sleep.
Here.
Okay, council has a copy of the minutes from the last meeting, and has had a chance to review them. Are there any corrections or, to the minutes? Council also has a copy of tonight's agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, we'll start the readings then.
Second reading of an ordinance adopting the recommendations of the planning commission to zone the area accepted for annexation by ordinance number 2025-4235 containing 1.968 acres of land, more or less, as R3 multiple family residential district.
We're the one that's going for 3 readings, correct? Yes. So that constitutes the second reading of that ordinance. Okay, next.
Second reading of an ordinance authorizing the safety service director to amend the position classification plan and the employee compensation plan for non-union employees to include the director of human resources and declaring an emergency.
Are we letting this go 3 readings as well?
Yes, Madam President.
Okay. So that constitutes the second reading of that ordinance. Next.
First reading of the ordinance adopting the recommendation of the planning commission to rezone in-lots partial number 34-50-00-4088-000 in the city of Fremont from I-2 general industrial to B-2 general commercial.
And that constitutes the first reading of that ordinance. Next.
First reading of the ordinance adopting the recommendations of the planning commission to rezone in-lots partials number 34-60-00-0082-02 in the city of Fremont from R1 single-family residential to R3 multi-family residential.
That constitutes the first reading of that ordinance. Next.
First reading of an ordinance amending appropriations within General Fund 101, Water Operating Fund 510, and Sewer Operating Fund 570, and declaring an emergency.
Anybody here to speak to that? Okay.
Those are just budget adjustments we did. I don't have the exact details on them. I believe Paul said we know that.
You did.
Okay.
I'd like a motion to suspend Rule 4.
Second.
Okay. John Elder makes a motion to suspend Rule 4. Chris Liebold seconds. Any questions on the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call.
Weiss?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Liebold?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Good to adopt.
Second.
Chris Liebold moves to adopt. John Elder seconds. Any further questions? Roll call.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Liebold?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Weiss?
Yes.
Approved. Okay, next.
First reading of an ordinance authorizing the safety service director to amend the position classification plan to change the legal secretary position to administrative legal assistant and declaring an emergency.
Do we need this?
No, I let it go.
Let it go? That constitutes the first reading of that ordinance.
Go ahead.
Do you have, can you provide the previous job description?
Sure.
At the next
Yep.
one and the previous job grade?
Sure.
And Madam President, I would note that.
I was going to note that, yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Jim.
If we modify the term, she's here in the audience, if there's any questions about what she does. And her job. I knew we weren't voting probably tonight on it, so if you want to ask me any questions, you can ask now, or you can ask me whatever.
I'm assuming it's been reviewed with the budget?
Yeah, as well as we did it through Farmers Nelson, when we did the analysis, and checked all the other comparable cities. But it hasn't been reviewed in about 7 to 8 years, and there's been a lot more reviews that have been added as a result of Marcy's Law and all the different things that we've done since then.
Okay. Well, so that's the end of our readings. We can go on to committee reports. I'll start with you, Christine.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
May I ask you a question quick? Our deputy auditor's here tonight, Terry Moore, or Terry Meek, I apologize. Was the item on the agenda for your software?
Yeah, that's what 5 was.
That's what passed.
All right. I don't want to go back to it. The only reason why I'm bringing it up is because the deputy director is here. You've already passed it. However, she was here to give an explanation or answer any questions, and wasn't given that opportunity. I was not aware that was a specific agenda item, or I would have spoken up sooner. So if you have any questions about the software, she's here to answer those questions. However, I understand that the city auditor already updated city council last time. Don't know that she was anticipating any questions, but I know that she wanted to be here to be able to answer any questions. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The only thing I have is I know we've got a lot of different activities that are going to be starting with the warmer weather, farmers markets and things like that. So just making sure that we do get out there and hit up the nice activities that we're going to be having this summer. It's right around the corner.
Thank you. Citizen Service Committee, Angie Reese.
The only thing I have is that there's been a lot of sirens going by the house, since I live around that main drag, I hear everything. So we have to be more careful when traveling, and safety at home also, so that we don't have to worry about a fire truck being able to get down the street. Just be more careful, everybody, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Seth Frazier.
Thank you, Madam President. Pool opening is anticipated for June 9th. Lifeguards being certified the week of June 2nd. The pitch hit and run is Saturday, June 16th at Roger Young Park. The community concert schedule has been released and it's on Facebook. The much anticipated summer activity guide will be released tomorrow. 60 free activities will be held in our parks June 9th through August 20th. Also, Steve Stutz will be joining us in the up-and-coming meetings to give us an update on the Whittlesey Street Cemetery cleanup.
Good.
Something else, for Downtown Fremont Inc., I'm on the board of directors for them. They're going to be looking at the schedule and the QR code when you scan it of trying to update it into everybody's schedule. So right now when you scan that QR code, it just shows all the events. What we're aiming for, what we're going to try to do is when you scan that QR code is to be able to upload it into your schedule. So I don't know who's all familiar with their phones.
Where's this QR code?
It's on all their signage.
Okay.
All their signage, you can scan their QR code, it'll bring up all the events that's happening. So they're going to be working with their IT and their development and trying to upload it into people's schedules so it's a lot easier. So a lot of events coming up.
Thank you. Laws, rules, and ordinances, John L.
Our planned meeting tonight to look at zoning ordinances for signage was canceled for those of you who came. It was resolved. So, problem solved. Thank you.
Okay. Economic Development, Jim Slate.
Oh, hang on. Eric has something, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Remember we talked about the
Yes.
public hearing for, but we're going to have it June 5th.
Okay.
Even though you said you weren't going to be here, so
Right.
we need to have a public hearing, an LRO meeting,
Yep,
June 5th. to discuss some zoning amendments.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, how was that sign resolved?
There was a compromise kind of reached of moving the location of the sign, where it was at. It's still involved with city right away, but I'm hoping this is gonna have a positive impact on how it's moved as it relates to safety, because there's lots of violations on people's rights of way all over the city, and it's kind of hard to enforce everything, so I'm trying to reach a compromise.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, economic development, Jim Sleep.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing other than, obviously, Planet Fitness had its grand opening, and if you want to work out, I guess go check out the. You headed over there, Dan? Is that what you?
Trying to buff up.
It looks, from this
looks
angle,
like it.
From this angle, it looks like you've been there. So, that's all I have at this time.
Thanks. Finance and Labor, Chris Leibold.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess it sort of fits under here. Last council meeting, I brought up the court's report and had asked about the status of the building assessment. Mr. Frost sent over to me what he had, and I hope that is still moving along. Some facts. That's it.
Paying for it will be the whole other question.
Well,
So moving along too fast might not be a good thing right now.
part of the problem is we're paying for it one way or the other.
No, I understand. It's going to be a long-term strategic plan.
Thank you. Streets and Utilities, Deniati.
Nothing to report on that. We probably should have a meeting coming up soon. There's a couple of things that I've came across, and I'm still out there looking for streetlights that are out. Well, you know, I do something about it. They are.
My lights are still on, Denny.
Okay, department heads, Ken Frost.
I have nothing, thank you.
Gross.
Yes, Madam President. I'll be fast, but I've got a couple of things. I've met the last few meetings. If you remember, we entered into an agreement with the Toledo Design Collective to give us a vision for State Street. A couple weeks ago, we had meetings with property owners along State Street and in downtown to get their feedback, good, bad. Some property owners have been here a long time, some have been here not so long, so it was a good variety of feedback. But Saturday, May 24th, and Tuesday, May 28th, there are public meetings, public workshops for folks to come and talk about State Street and downtown and this vision. It is information gathering for the Toledo Design Collective. They're a nonprofit think tank architects that do this frequently throughout the city of Toledo, but other communities in Northwest Ohio. This is the group that put the Fremont Downtown Vision Plan together in 2015, and we've got, they kind of led to some of the things we see down here, namely the amphitheater and some other improvements, because it really is lending itself to go into our next 10-year vision plan and really kind of addressing State Street. Now, in saying that, the grant money we have earmarked to do State Street is for that section of State Street, but the administration is, I'm probably speaking for the mayor, and I apologize, we're committed to all of State Street. We originally asked the Toledo Design Collective to give us a vision for all of State Street, and they said, well, that's too big of a bite to take. Can we break it down into phases? And so I think the long-term plan is to eventually have a vision for all of State Street, east side, far west side. That's our main corridor. Probably has not had the attention it's needed to for several decades. And so we are really trying to address not only the asphalt, but even the look of the main corridor through Fremont. And so I would ask for your help is, hey, it is the city's plan to do this for all of State Street and really have a vision and a look. What these visions do is they help us apply for these grant dollars. It really, having talked to Senator Reineke or Representative Click or even Captor's office, we got a big grant from when Sheriff Brown was the state senator. And what set us apart is our preparedness, our detailed, the renderings, the cost estimates, the fact that we had some local funds leveraged into the project that stood apart. And so we're just trying to duplicate that process again with some of these visioning plans. Secondly is Burchard Park. We're under contract with Thomas Porter Architect. If you remember the one council meeting, I don't know when that was, a month or so ago, public feedback. We have a park committee, which several people in this room sit on that park committee. We've given all that public information to Andy Knopp at Thomas Porter Architect to put a vision and a picture and renderings together with different options based on what he kind of felt people were, the amenities people were gravitating toward. He should have that back to us for this committee to review in another week or so, with the thought of we'll review it, we'll give him some feedback, and then really this is a public, community engaged process. We can't have the entire public at every meeting, but as we reshape or put this plan together, hey, in June we need to have another public meeting to say, hey, here's what we have so far with this plan for Burchard Park. And similar to the amphitheater or the Kiwanis Play Park, because we had a vision, a look, a rendering, a cost estimate, we feel like this is going to help set us up for grants. And I know, having talked with Paul Grawl and Mayor Sanchez and Ken Frost, as we think about the budget, we're really doing this with all grants and donations, so that the budget, we can use local budget every year for streets. And so that's what's great about parks projects is big politicians love giving money to parks when they submit their projects. It's because it affects so many people. So
When do you think that meeting's going to be?
the public meeting, sometime in June. We have a meeting, I'm not sure, like 10 days from now, to catch up with the architect to see what he has. And I think at that point, the committee will look at the calendar and go, hey, we should really put something on. And so we haven't ironed out that date yet, but I think we loosely talked about maybe at the end of June or beginning of July sometime to have another public meeting to sort through some of the plans that Thomas Porter Architect is recommending for Burchard Park. Appleby Lumber, I think there's been some talk about Appleby Lumber. While it is leveled and demoed and the structures are gone, there is still BGM Environmental on site doing soil remediation. So if you see a crew on site, the ground is contaminated. And so they're putting chemicals to neutralize the contaminants to make it safe soil, safe ground spring space. And so, there's monitoring wells, and you got to do some soil remediation, and then you wait a while, and then you get EPA to come test it, and then you get a clean bill of health on that property. Same thing with trichoblast. The structures are down, and it's green space, but they have monitoring wells, and there's some soil remediation, and the contaminants are subgrade, and they're not extremely harmful, but they're still considered contaminants. And so to try to get those cleaned up and eventually get them into the next phase of what they're intended for. And then we didn't really talk about it, but the announcement of the hotel. And I want to thank council because I came to you in, I think, September and asked for a budget amendment of $15,000 to get a hotel study. That hotel study was really key to us landing this project. And and I'll just say here, that's a $12 million investment into our community that creates bed tax and then 23 permanent jobs. And so I want to thank council for trusting me and my recommendation of, hey, we should go get this hotel study. When I was originally, this conversation started in November. When I met with the owners that are doing this project, they were blown away that we had a hotel study. It's a giant book with a lot of numbers. I didn't fully understand it. I could make some sense of it, but these guys knew every line. And so they just, and really the help of our engineer's office too. When they were looking at the site, between the hotel study, the customer service approach we had, and the engineering to sit down and look at the map where water lines and sewer lines and stuff came in, they pretty quickly committed. A short time later, we get a call from the bank that's financing them, asked for the hotel study, and it just came together pretty quick because we were prepared and we did those extra steps. So the $15,000 we spent got us a $12 million investment, which could be maybe $60,000 in bed tax every year to the city. So I would say for a public entity, that's a pretty good rate of return on a study like that. And that's all I have to say tonight, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a flyer, so it's Saturday, May 24th, from 8 to 11, and then there's one in the evening on Tuesday, I think Tuesday. It's May 28th. I'll email you the flyer. I think we just started posting about it. And there'll be more. You know, we know not everybody can hit 1 or 2 meetings, so we've had a couple specifically for the property owners. Now we've got some for the public, and then similar to the park, as the plan shapes and molds itself, we'll have some more. But I'll use the flyer.
Thank you. Chief Wensinger?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Click It or Ticket is nearly upon us. May 19th through June 1st is a national Highway Traffic Safety Administration's initiative to increase road safety by decreasing bad driving, increasing seatbelt usage. So whether it's the Commandant of the Ohio State Highway Patrol or sheriffs or a bunch of police chiefs, all of the law enforcement across the nation are telling their troopers, deputies, and police officers to write more tickets. So the probability of getting a warning is going to go down during this time, and traffic enforcement will likely increase. Also during this time, schools are going to be out, and pedestrian traffic of children and youth in our communities is going to change. So it's not just after school rushes, it's during the daytime, unexpected, and when kids are on their bikes, visiting our city parks or going to one of these events in our city parks. I would just like this to be a reminder. Lots of reasons to slow down, stop at stop signs, use your turn signals, and static crashes. Might save you maybe around $100 for a seatbelt ticket. Maybe it'll save your life if you're involved in a crash. That's all I have.
Thank you. Andrew,
I forgot to mention that Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, Mr. Adi and I have been getting everything organized.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
Well, that's when Clyde F.
Well, Saturday at 10 o'clock, but we'll be there at 9, won't we?
I guess I will be.
We're going to be getting the cemetery at the end of Wayne Street, the Veterans Cemetery, cleaned up and planted for the summer. So if anybody would be interested in helping out. And I've been having a hard time finding the flowers that we usually use.
Picked up geraniums and a flat of marigold today.
I don't know, but I couldn't find any geraniums in town.
Lowe's? No?
No.
Really?
They have them in the pot, but they don't have them single. And marigolds they have, and Walmart didn't have geraniums other than in pots. And the marigolds they had them were definitely.
Yeah, how about the new pedal patch?
Yeah, the pedal patch.
We try to keep business in town. But they
Well,
probably.
that's Fremont. Their address is Fremont.
But anyhow, they probably don't have it
If the
because
train
Dobles
gets
didn't
it.
have it and Dutchess didn't have it.
They got a lot. We were just out there and we got a bunch of our summer plants as well. My wife
If you want
does.
to practice planning, you can do it Saturday morning.
No.
I can. That's the duty of the council
Does
people.
anybody else on council have any comment they need to?
I do have one thing,
Okay,
maybe two things.
okay.
I heard some comments about when do I or how do I go around looking for street lights out, and it's generally after the Planet Fitness and walk up, and it's my cool down period. And also, fishermen are in town, white bass season is happening, so.
Oh, and birding. People are.
Oh, yes, people are birding.
Yeah, and they migrate at night, so if you go out at night, they say you can listen and hear the birds, but what I was going to say about the fishermen, let's treat them nice, let's show them how friendly of a town Fremont is, and that's all I can think of right now. You give me a few more minutes, I might come up with something.
Okay.
You got 3.
Does anybody in the audience want to come up and speak? Come on up.
Mr. Burns.
State your name for the record.
Mr. Burns,
Mr. Burns.
I live at 1483 Pinewood Boulevard, Fremont, Ohio, 43420. Okay, number one, you got on the fishing. I thought of this, it's something probably crazy, but, we should try to build a little fishing shack out here. We can have them cleaning and, everything. And, if you make it comfortable, people will keep coming back. They'll remember. If you don't, make it hard, they won't come back if you don't have a place to clean their fish. I mean, not everybody's going to clean them here, but, it's a fish cleaning spot you could get on one of these places. Well, I have a few things here I wrote down, and it's not to anyone's area. I don't know where you're in charge of or not. This is just from me, from all over the city, okay? A few things that I know they drive me nuts. Maybe they don't drive anybody else nuts, but it's ridiculous, okay? We got a house on 6th Street, 147. The privacy fence has been laying in this front yard, and I tried to buy it from this gentleman. He won't buy it, he won't sell it, but it's just laying there, just going to waste and, making the city looks, downward some more. And then a car in front of the house on Brush Street. I know it's out of our area, I guess. That's what I was told. But it's been there for 3 years. It's a Cadillac. It's been sitting there since I lived here. I've only lived here 7 years, and it's been there all the time.
On Brush Street?
On Brush Street. You can't miss it.
I don't think so. I think the best is in the city.
Part of it is, part of it isn't.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
spots.
it's a conversation. It depends on where it's at on Brush Street.
Well, anyways, it's there. If somebody wants
Is
to.
it right near Bethesda?
No, it's before Bethesda.
Towards State Street or?
Towards State or?
It's towards Hayes,
Okay.
closer to Hayes. It's right in front of the Hayes, the quarry there. And then on Kentucky at 6th, there's a sidewalk buckling, and it needs to be fixed before someone falls down and gets hurt. It's just things I'm bringing to your attention. It doesn't matter if you, whatever. And then there's a tree on Wilson and Burchard. Its bark's all falling off. And it's on the private property of the apartment complex, okay? I know it's probably their problem. But before it falls on a car driving by or, something, maybe somebody needs to get a hold of them or, do something to enforce because the bark is almost all off this tree.
But it still has leaves, doesn't it?
Pardon me?
It still has leaves.
Only
The tree's
Yeah.
still alive, but the.
It's dead.
It's not my house, but I know the tree.
Right. Okay, so you know. House on Wood and Hayes is still wrapped in plastic. We ain't done nothing to that since the last time I was told. We got it under control. But, I know it's their house, but, it's still in plastic. And then, Wilson and Mosier, right across from the Mosier construction headquarters. We have a van and a truck. They're back together like this, right next to it used to be Simple Tire right there. Well, they been there for 2 years maybe. They're still sitting there, and I brought it to people's attention. Not saying any names.
Mr. Kern?
Huh?
Fix that too?
What's that?
I thought you were looking at Mr. Kern.
Right here, this gentleman right here.
I don't know who it is.
Kern might buy the building.
I don't have anything there that I know of. Might be though.
And then on Hinkle and Wilson, we have right off of Wilson. Hinkley, whatever, I don't know, maybe. Hickory, okay. I'm sorry.
There you go.
I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I grew up in Toledo, so that's where we talk. All right?
on his phone trying to find it here.
Hey, at least, I can get it close. If I get you close, you maybe can find it. You didn't know where my street was when I told you the first time either, so.
All right.
I knew where it was.
Well, I didn't say you, I'm just talking, And then,
What's on that
problem?
That's a house that has 3 trucks, or 3 cars in the backyard. And we had 2 towed away, and she put another one back there.
It's a truck.
No, she put a van back there now.
Yeah, that's what
What street is that?
Hickory. Hickory dickory dock. The cars are parked in the grass.
Okay.
Well, and then 2720 Port Clinton Street, the grass is just, mile high.
Madam
It's on the city.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I appreciate all of his concerns. Is this something that we can do after council so he can give all of this information to the zoning director?
Sure.
They'll be here till midnight.
Or set up a meeting? I agree that maybe these are concerns, but I just think maybe the time isn't to address them all at the council meeting. Give her an opportunity to address them, to look into them, and then get back with council on a resolution or a solution to these. And he's correct. He did come to me about several of these issues, and I believe that he's already addressed his concerns, and I appreciate him being here. But I just don't think the time is now at a council meeting to go over 30 different violations. There's probably hundreds of other violations.
True, but I mean, if I don't bring it to your attention, and I was here a couple months ago or whatever, talking to you about it, and it's still a problem.
I understand. I just mentioned that to
And
the law director.
and I understand, but the White House with the plastic still, that's over a year ago, and it's still sitting there.
More than years.
Okay, well, right.
That's
I think we put back almost 30.
Can you give those lists to?
I'll give them to anybody who wants them.
Thing, keeping it
The
together.
concern is that he's already had a meeting with us and brought this to our attention, and I just said that to the law director. This isn't the first time that he's brought some of these things up. However, the zoning director's here. I hope she's taking notes. We can address this and try to get some information. I can tell you and Mr. Burns this, that Erica and I met with the gentleman from Wood Street. I mean, I had them in my office several months ago, and he did assure Erica that he was going to make some progress, and I believe that she gave him a time frame. And do you have an update, Erica, on that property?
I was told that there was an agreement, but I have not seen like the change in the tax record yet. So I'll research that. I've been having some other priorities going on, but if Mr. Burns would like to call me and set up an appointment to go over all of these concerns he has, he can call and make an appointment.
Mr. Burns, I'll assist you with it as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to cut you off because I don't care. I do care, but I know that you brought some of these up and you're looking for some solutions for the community, not for you personally.
Right, no, not for, if it was for me personally, it wouldn't matter.
I understand.
Mr. Burns, if I could, we've had some sidebars, and you've even said that there's been a lot of improvement. So
Well,
with all that being
I
said,
mean,
it's just, it takes time and,
I understand that.
and you've
but-
said that, so.
And I guess if you drive by something so many times and it's there and it's in the way or it's not, the grass isn't cut or whatever, doesn't that bother people? I mean, that bothers me.
Bothers me.
And I'm sorry that it doesn't bother everybody else like it does me, but, maybe this is, and the gentleman was said earlier tonight about the east side and the west side, okay? And I'm not from this town, I moved in here, okay? So I'm gathering by my own assumption that the east side was formed before the west side. Is that right or wrong?
The first house was built on the east side on Sandusky Avenue.
Well, I'm just saying
And if you
in
want to go
general.
back, if you want to go back to the beginning.
No, I'm just saying in general, the east side was more
There was more,
developed before the west side was. So, that's just part, we haven't developed out the west side, that's not.
okay. yes,
I'll
sir.
shut up, I'm done. I'm gonna go.
Thanks. Before we adjourn, did we pick a time for that LRO meeting? 6:45. 6:45, okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
I think that they announced the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Madam President, one other thing, and Bob just reminded me, I know in June, one of our meetings falls on Juneteenth, which is
Right.
a holiday, and I don't know if we made a decision to not have a meeting then.
We made the decision, we just haven't broadcasted it yet.
Okay.
It's gonna be June 18th, on Wednesday.
Omar?
No, the third week of June, city council
Second.
meeting. Third week, right?
Yeah.
Second meeting in June, it falls on Juneteenth. So we're changing it to June 18th.
I second that.
Angie Reese moves to adjourn, and Jenny Addy second.
Elder?
Yes.
Bible?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Reese?